Proteins are amino acids that are linked by peptide bonds. Protein provides 4 calories per gram, and it's used to make foam for gelatin, soybean protein, creams, gels, and thickening agents. Denaturization of protein is the partial unfolding of protein molecules while it keeps the peptide bonds. This results in cross linkages forming but decreased solubility and loss of biological activity. On the other hand, coagulation is irreversible, and it's when it transforms a protein liquid into a protein solid by cooking it. It can also be caused by high concentrations of salt and acid. Overcoagulation results in tough or rubbery product. Meat is composed of muscle fibers, connective tissue, bones, and fat. Animals are bred to have higher muscles and less fat. Collagen is the sheath that coats the muscle fiber. It can be softened or dissolved by hot water, and it can increase with exercise or age. That's why animals aren't exercised or kept for very long, because of the increases in collagen. It can be tough when you eat it. The fat is what cushions organs and is deposited as marbling in the lean part of the muscle. The more fat, the more tender the meat. The Federal Inspection Act of 1906 regulated meat marketed interstate. So that includes the examination of the live animal, the part of the animal that's susceptible to disease, and the packaging plant. The USDA would stamp meat if it's fit for human consumption, but it's not about quality. It's just about if it's able to be consumed by humans. Then in 1967, there was a Wholesome Meat Act, which made inspections of meat mandatory, and they've implemented the HACCP. USDA has implemented grading of beef, and the Prime USDA, or USDA Prime, is the most tender, juicy, and flavorful. It has the most fat, but it's the most costly. That's the best. There's USDA Choice, which is, it follows the Prime and it's accepted and preferred by customers, but it's not the best as Prime. And then there's USDA Select, which is the leanest because it doesn't have the most fat, it's not the most tender, and it's usually the most inexpensive. The color of meat usually indicates the freshness. So red meat is comprised of myoglobin 70 to 80% and hemoglobin 20 to 30%. Color changes with age, oxygen, cooking, and application of coloring agents. Meat can be tenderized by aging, mechanical, moist heat cooking, enzymes, and electrical stimulation. Aging is when you hold meat at a set time in the refrigerator and a set humidity to improve tenderness and flavor. Mechanical tenderizing is when you break muscles or fibers by mechanical stimulation or by cross-cutting the grain or thinly slicing it to tenderize it. Moist heat cooking is when you cook meat in a liquid covered for a long time at a low temperature, because it converts the collagen, which we just talked about, to gelatin, and it's more tender. So collagen is not a tender thing. You don't want to eat much collagen. Acids can also be in the moist heat cooking, and it can increase the water binding capacity of fiber, which makes it more moist but not tender. Enzymes are used in marinade to tenderize the meat tissue, like the collagen or elastin. Bromelain is in pineapple, and papain or camelpapain is in papaya, and they're used to tenderize. Electrical stimulation is a low voltage stimulation done immediately after slaughter to increase meat tenderness. When freezing meat, you want to keep it at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Cooling is 41 degrees or less. When you cook pork, it's at 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Ground beef, 160, and steak, 145. Poultry, you have to watch out for Salmonella and Campylobacter jejuni. Those are parasites or pathogens that can decrease the quality and make people sick. Acids can slow softening of beans beans such as other legumes. And so if you are cooking a bean or if you're soaking it, you want to add the acid at the end because it can slow the softening process. Legumes are plants with double-seamed pods such as lentils, peas, soybeans, peanuts, dried beans, and dried seeds of legumes are called pulses. Peanuts are legumes, and legumes are high in protein, lysine. They're low in fat, high in phosphorus, iron, potassium, folate, zinc, and fiber. The digestive tract can't digest the legumes, so it produces hydrogen, which can result in flatulence. Acid slows the softening, which we talked about. It should be added at the end of cooking. Adding baking soda can tenderize the beans, but it decreases thiamine and it makes mushy beans. Vitamin B6 is found in beans, but it's sensitive to light. Cream of tartar is an acid that can be added to egg whites to stabilize the egg. Eggs can be used and have multiple functions. One of the functions is to emulsify the product that the egg is in, which means to unite it or keep it together. They can enhance the flavor of foods. It can give structure to baked goods like custard, and it can be used for aeration, which is when beaten or whipped egg can cause baked goods to rise. Protein in grains often lack tryptophan and lysine. Those are amino acids that are needed to make a complete protein. Enrichment and fortification are different. Enrichment means replacing vitamins or minerals, any kind of nutrient that has been taken out through the process of cooking or processing. So an example of that would be white rice needs to be enriched with vitamins and minerals because of the bran that was taken out. Fortification means that you're adding nutrients that weren't there in the first place, such as folic acid being added to cereal or vitamin D being added to milk. This is a grain, and it's made up of the bran, which is the hull or the outer coating. And this is going to contain cellulose and hemicellulose and vitamins, thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin. The endosperm, that's the inside, and that's going to have the starch and the protein. This is what most people eat when they eat the grain. The germ here is the small part of the grain and contains unsaturated fat, protein, iron, and vitamins. If the germ's fat is exposed to air, it becomes rancid. So wheat germ and whole grains should be refrigerated. When you process a grain, the bran here and the germ are taken off and you're left with just the endosperm. That's why it's important to eat whole grains. Starches are comprised of amylose and amylopectin. Amylose is a straight glucose bond, while amylopectin is branched chains of glucose, and it's more stable, less likely to break down. And this is just a straight chain of glucose. Baking soda can be added to broccoli or any vegetable to enhance the color while it's cooking. However, it's generally a no-no because it can decrease the nutrient value and it can neutralize the acid, which is what usually changes the color in vegetables, but it can also make the vegetable mushy.